Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the LSE Transfer Room. What a way to end the Europa League group stage, where we were allowed to play kids for a little bit, but we lost. We lost 2-1 against UNion St Gilloise, and what can we say, boys? What can we say? I mean, there's nothing much to say apart from we're through, but you know the people on the pitch tonight should have done better. I think it should have done better and could have done better. We'll get into that a bit more, but I'll give you our initial reaction, Harmony, first of that game.
It's kind of like what you said. It was kind of underwhelming a little bit due to the fact that I feel like the youngsters that came on, I thought they would be really up for it. I thought they would, kind of show Jurgen Klopp what they had and kind of showed us what we could be looking forward to in the future and kind of gave us a good performance. Even though we didn't expect them to win the game, we knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew some of them haven't played for a little while. So it wasn't going to be easy, but we just expected a little bit more from them. So it was kind of underwhelming for me personally watching that game. I watched it until the first half. I kind of turned off because I was like, this is not really, it's not kind of giving me the excitement I was looking for, not giving me the view that I was looking for, especially for the young players. Gordon, Doak, who else was playing? Kwanzaa was alright. I can't remember who else. Bradley was playing, and I think who was there? I can't remember the last person I was playing. Yeah, that's it. Chambers. Yeah. So those are the guys I was really watching. I wasn't really watching all the other players because I know what I can expect from them. But yeah, those guys kind of let me down a little bit. I can understand for Gordon because he hasn't played football in a little while, coming back from an injury. So I can understand that. Coming back, especially playing that type of sort of game. So it's understandable. But Doak, I expected a little bit more because he was playing on the left as well. So I thought, he'll have a bit more joy on that side. But obviously it wasn't turned out. Ben, I don't know, Bradley was kind of let me down. He was getting beat so many times, so many easy passes was going down that right-hand side. And they just kept going back to the right-hand side because it was just so easy for them to break us down from that side. So he kind of let himself down in that particular perspective. But overall, a great campaign for us. We're through. We're not going to be playing any European football until March, which is good. That means less games for the team. That means we can rest a couple of players here and there. And yeah.
It is one of their games, isn't it? It's those games where these backup players need to show what they're about. And if they want to get into the first team, this is a perfect opportunity to play against. Absolute perfect opportunity to play against a team like this. And it's a dead rubber game, we don't need to win. But show us what you're about. Show us what you're about. Show us that you want to push for places in the first team. And no, apart from maybe Kwanzaa, no one really stood out as a whole. And like Jamie here says, does this match show what Klopp needs to buy next month? I don't think it matters what Klopp wants. We know that. Talk about Endo, Kwanzaa, Dirk. I was disappointed with Dirk tonight, but he hadn't played in a long time. But again, it's just a lot of people didn't show up tonight. Paul, thanks for coming on late notice and all. But what's your initial reaction to that? Obviously, it's a dead rubber game. We're through anyway, but it's still disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, the scoreline is not what we wanted, but that wasn't the most important thing. What really disappointed me, and I was kind of shocked really, was the poor first touch of these youngsters. We don't expect them to pull up trees, but at least show your potential. And there is not one of the guys that I can say, yes, this guy looked like he's a future Liverpool player. They just look disjointed, but the alarming thing for me was the most basic thing in football is your first touch. And the first touch was so lacking that the ball comes to them and then it intercepted, So I was really disappointed in the game. Kwanzaa was a standout for me. So maybe that's why he is with the big boys. As Harmony was saying, Doak didn't look like he know what he wants to do when he gets the ball. Should he dribble? Should he pass? He just looked so slow, so sluggish. I was not impressed today at all. I have to say I'm quite disappointed. Not in the scoreline so much, but just the performance of these youngsters. They just look so like they lack Is it confidence? They don't have the talent? I don't know, but I was not impressed at all.
Everyone says here, Kelleher has let us down again. A lot of says, but the 2 goals he was put on. Kelleher has normally, over the years since we've had him, has been unbelievable. And obviously, he was a big part in winning the FA Cup, big part in the League Cup. The Cup double was basically on him, a lot of it on him. But in recent weeks, when he has played without Alisson there, it showed why we rely on Alisson so much. And for me, it's exposed, like, maybe the negative side of what our game is at the moment and what we are lacking, because we shouldn't have to rely on Alisson Becker to make 1-on-1 saves all the time. We shouldn't have to rely on Alisson Becker to literally make a last-ditch save to save us. Dan, is there more to like the way we're playing at the moment, and do we get away with a lot because of Alisson, do you think?
I mean, yes. Harmony's the drop there emphasized my yes. Yes, to some degree we do, but I think that's also like partially designed. So like, Liverpool have pretty much like designed the whole team around the fact that they believe Alisson Becker is the best goalkeeper in the world, and so they're willing to accept and take risks in certain situations they normally wouldn't do. One is it's the high line we play, which is part of that is to keep the field compressed and so we can cover more pitch. I don't know. Like today, this game is really weird to read into. One is the fact that I think Paul mentioned the fact that a lot of players' first touch was bad. I think the reason their first touch was so bad was because the game was a lot more intense than they were expecting. If you're going from a youth team or like in training where you are playing intense to a game where this is Union SG's best, most important game in like their entire history. They were talking about how like there's a mural of them as well, and like they're firing the ball at you really quick, and you have to take your touches to be on point and turn, or you're going to lose the ball. And we saw that a bunch of times. It was very much like very much reminds me how Manchester City at times, like with Ederson passes the ball, like if your first touch isn't on it, the ball's just going to bounce, it's going to cascade. I do think I think that's just the way we play, Damo. I'm being completely honest. Like, if we change the way we play, then, maybe we wouldn't rely on Alisson as much, but I think most everyone's okay with that bargain because right now, I think the results speak for itself. Though at least we are walking a tightrope, which is what we always do. We have qualified for the round of 16. We don't have to play a round of 32 game. We are top of the league as we speak, with a game against United and Arsenal and West Ham coming up. We have progressed to, I think we're in the second round of the FA Cup or third round.
Third, yeah.
Third. So in the third round of the FA Cup, so we have to play that game, and we're in the quarters, I think, against West Ham. So right now, at this point, if you had said at the beginning of start of August, this is where we'd be at, I think we'd all be like happy, like, yep, job done. That's what we want. I do worry that at times that, especially during the Europa League, but I think we've also seen this against like the Luton Town game where like we can be a bit too passive, and when we get passive, that's when we get punished. Yeah. Yeah. So I think there is a thing to say that as long as we're on it, I think we're, like I said, round through. I wouldn't read too much into it, but there probably is some changes or tweaks that they should make in January, either personnel or shape-wise going forward. I think one thing we might see more of is it. I know JB's brought up the transfer market. Is that we might see a center back come in, and then Joe Gomez go right back and Trent go into midfield as a way of rejigging the team to kind of maybe solve some of these problems. Those are my thoughts. I thought it was a fun game overall. It was nice to see Union SG have some fun, and they were wearing Liverpool scarves and Union scarves. Like, yeah, we love Liverpool, we love Union SG as well. It was just a good football game, and it was mad. It was intense. They were pulling muscles by 80 minutes. So good experience for the kids.
It's over recent years that they've come into the Belgian league where they're storming it. It's normally Club Brugge that are in there, obviously Genk and Ghent up there,
and they're top.
Union.
They're top of the Belgian league.
I've been absolutely unbelievable the last couple of years, and in that league. So to face someone like, they're not expecting to face someone like Liverpool in a competition like this. Liverpool normally in Champions League, so for them to face it is like a once in a lifetime sort of thing, and obviously the fans will love it. But I do want to bring this up by Jamie, because me and Jamie on Twitter, we do go back and forth quite a bit on Twitter, me and Jamie, and he basically said it was a pre-season game. You could tell there was zero effort. I'm not too bothered by that game. So to be fair, this is what, to me, there should be never no zero effort. This is not a pre-season game. It might be a dead rubber game in terms of result, and we're already through. We're top of the league, top of the group, but it's not a pre-season game. There should be zero. There should never be zero effort when you put that Liverpool shirt on, and it's the backup players. they should be putting every single effort in every part of this game to prove that they want to get into the first team. I don't understand the drop off for the first team players, like just casually playing it as a training game, but not for these players that are not playing every single week. They should have treated it like an audition and given it their all an audition. So the lack of effort and the zero effort is not good, if I'm honest, in terms of the game. But also the result doesn't matter as it is. But you got to be balanced with that. But the zero effort thing, I can't accept, if I'm honest, no matter who we're playing. I must admit that I had one eye on Bayer Leverkusen game. Yeah, they won 5-1 again. They're absolutely on fire at the moment. Xabi Alonso's got them doing bits. Top of the Bundesliga, flying in the Europa League. It's certainly a team that I'd love to come against. I'm not bothered about avoiding certain teams in this competition. I want to come against these teams. I think we'll beat them anyway, but it'd be nice to come against Alonso and see what he can do against us. Are you comfortable with Endo starting against United? No. Do you want me to be basic with you and be absolutely brutal honest? No, I'm not comfortable. I literally just done the podcast tonight, the Man United preview with my United fan, myself and Lou, and I said, look, we are very culpable at DM and in defence, so we can be got at. And Endo has shown against Palace that is not up to that sort of level. Worked against Sheffield United, worked against Europa League games at times. A brilliant addition to the squad he is. Good James Milner replacement, but when it comes to a little bit of a step up, I still think is that level. I'm going to ask you at the end, Paul, this specific question, but is anyone else that let you down more tonight? I mean, we spoke about Ben Doak earlier. He's got bags of talent, but again, he just didn't show it tonight. The chat's asking for Kay Gordon comments. I didn't really see Kay Gordon much in the game, which is a bit of a shame. Is he another one that didn't really impress you?
Right. I was really looking forward to see Kay Gordon. I'm one of those supporters who like to see a left-footed player playing on the right-hand side. And to me, he is somebody that we should be looking at to learn from Mo Salah. And maybe in another couple of years, he could be the guy. But he did not show that tonight. Again, just like most of the other guys, Endo to me was also a big disappointment. We know that in the last game he played for us, he was a little bit too slow and keep losing the ball. So we thought that he would use this game to work on that, but it happened again. So I'm agree with you there, man. There's no way Endo should start on Sunday. Overall, I guess maybe wonder if we're a little bit too harsh on the guys, because let's face it, we had nothing to gain from winning this game. My guess is that Klopp might say to the lads, you know what? No injuries. Be careful, no injuries. And also, the opponents that we're playing, they're not bad. They were second in the Belgian league last year, and I think they are leading this year.
Yep.
And they had a lot to play for. They play their best 11, and it's an away game, and we play like 8-9 youngsters. So are we a little bit too harsh, where we are judging them? Probably. I mean, it's Liverpool, so we expect, certain qualities, which we didn't see tonight. But overall, there was no player that says to me, you know what? I want to grab this opportunity. I want to be included with the big boys. There was none of them. Gordon was there, but he didn't do anything. I didn't see it. I can't remember him. So that should tell you that he was just there, but didn't do anything.
I mean, it's worrying, isn't it? That sort of attitude to come into the game like that and not try to stand out, if that makes sense. I just think it was a perfect opportunity for the likes of Curtis Jones and Ben Doak, and Harvey Elliott has been unbelievable, and I think Harvey Elliott is one of the best impact subs we've had for a while, and we saw that at the weekend against Palace. But it's a chance to show that you've got a chance there to start on Sunday as well, because we've got Mac Allister missing on Sunday. There's a spot there free, because Szoboszlai and Gravenberch was going to play, because when Gravenberch came on, you saw the difference in class, by the way. There's a spot there free for Jones, Elliott, or Endo to take, and neither of them tonight show that they wanted it. What about you, Dan?
Well, I mean, I think for Paul, what he said about Cade Gordon, I think that's mostly because Cade is just so rusty. Like he hasn't really played a senior game in 2 years because he had that growth issue, that pelvis issue. I think it was really hard for him to stand out. So for Cade, I think you can wrap it up to fitness. To Endo, I don't know. With Wataru Endo, it's very weird. I agree with Paul that in one sense we're being too harsh. I don't think with Endo it's a thing of desire. I think it's more that it's a bit of unlearning. I think at times Endo either is taking too long on the ball or is moving too quick. I think when he actually makes the right decision, his delivery is really good. Like his quality on the ball is not really a problem. Like there was a lovely passes that he was dipping into Gakpo in that first half that Fabinho did to Mane against United a couple of days ago. But I think also with Wataru Endo, and I think we've seen times.
You say a couple of days?
Yeah, he did 2 of them. He did 2 of them in the first half. You didn't see him?
I mean, a couple of days ago, Fabinho did to United a couple of days ago. I'm sure you just said.
A couple of days ago. I'm sorry. Like it feels like a couple of years ago.
You probably
time
watched YouTube videos to remind.
I know. I have. It feels like it was yesterday, Damo. We were United against when Shaqiri scored 2 goals. It was just yesterday. You don't remember? No. So I think with Wataru Endo, I think the problem with Endo, I think, is that right now, I think he's just a bit too slow and a bit too weak on the ball at the moment. I think both of those are just the fact that he was playing the Bundesliga. So I think he'll get stronger on the ball. But again, when you're in a title race, you really can't wait for Wataru Endo to get stronger at core, so he doesn't get knocked off the ball as much. And I think there is an argument to not start him against United, not because I don't think he's good enough. I think he's better than most of United's midfielders right now because they're all kind of crap. I think it's more the fact that against United, you want to keep the ball and move the ball as quickly. So I think there's an argument to start Jones the 6 with Szoboszlai and Gravenberch and just say, we're just going to keep the ball. We're just going to pass you to death. But I think the big standout was Juro Kwanzaa. I can't speak. I think Kwanzaa stepping up so much. Harmony mentioned him. He's so good. Like, of all the players I saw of that team that are ready to play in the 25, it's Kwanzaa, it's Harvey, who I thought didn't have the best game. But again, I think it's just more the team. And it's just really those 2 right now in terms of like the youth players. He's so good. I think there's an argument that he is the understudy to Van Dijk right now, just with his passing, his positioning, his awareness. I'm not saying we should go buy a defender because I think there's an argument to buy a defender, but he's so good. He's so good. I'm so surprised about how good he has been since the preseason.
I think Kwanzaa has John Henry in absolute awe because he knows that he can not get away without going about a defender, but he can use it as an excuse to say, look, we've got Kwanzaa there coming out. Because Kwanzaa's been brilliant since he's come in. And
if Levi Colwell's worth 60 million, how much do you think Juro Kwanzaa's worth, Damo?
Well, I believe Leo Colwell was 60 million. So, yeah, you know what? Right now, Kwanzaa, I would rate him about £40 million player right now because of potential and stuff. But he's still got a lot to go. Yeah, a lot to go and a lot of potential. But again, he's a standout in a game where he should be a standout. And that's the best thing I can say about Kwanzaa. We still feel like we've got Van Dijk, at his level, against his level. I think we've still got like a Van Dijk sort of player there, which is very nice against St Gilloise. But regarding Sunday, I would even start Kwanzaa if Konate isn't fully fit. I'd rather Kwanzaa at centre back than Gomez, if I'm honest, just because I feel more comfortable with Kwanzaa. Another player for me tonight, Harmony, was Kelleher, and immediately when I went onto our chat after, was it that second goal when it went near post, and immediately I saw someone put I can't think who it was, but someone put like, what a great finish, the keeper couldn't do anything about that. The first rule you get taught as a kid, if you play net, wherever you play, is you cannot get beaten on the inside post. Never. I could understand like unstoppable finishes where, for example, he's hitting near post shots where it goes above the keeper. They're absolutely powerful and you cannot do anything to stop it. His positioning was pathetic at that point, and that was stoppable. That should have been saved. But again, leading up to the goal, there was gaps all over the pitch. All over in that CDM position. You're talking Curtis Jones, you're talking Ender, you're talking Elliott. We don't have Mac on Sunday.
Yep.
Who could we play at 6 on Sunday? Because I don't want these gaps. I know Man United shit at the moment, but still, they can punish us for it.
Yeah, 100%. And funny enough, that's what I was actually thinking about. I was actually saying to myself, these are the times where you kind of wish you still had Hendo on the team. I know it's kind of crazy to say.
That's
Hold
all.
on.
That's it.
I know.
Someone says it. I'm glad it's Harmony.
Let me explain why. Don't go crazy on me. I'm not saying I want Hendo back. I'm just saying this is the reason why I say this. Yeah, it's because physically he's got it. He can keep possession and he can spot danger. So let's say we had Endo and we still had Hendo in there. You could have played Hendo in that 6 and then had Sobozalai, and then you had Gravenberch on the side playing alongside him. That would give me more confidence going into that game than me going to the game with Endo, Sobozalai, and Gravenberch in there, or Jones, Sobozalai, Gravenberch in there. Those two mixed there, they don't make any sense because Jones, even though he played the 6 for England's under 21s, that's under 21s. The Premier League level, the opponents, the players you're playing with are a higher quality and higher ability when it comes to playing the game. So they can break you down and expose your weaknesses. And Jones's weaknesses is that he likes going forward. He likes holding on to the ball for too long. He likes trying to be creative. And that is something that you don't need from your 6. Your 6 has to get the ball, receive it, pick the pass, and just get the ball, keep the ball moving, And you don't want him holding on to the ball for too long. And you don't want him to be someone that's attack-minded. That's what Jones is. And you can't have that in your 6. And Endo is the fact that when he has the ball on his feet and he distributes, he looks great. But it's the moments when he receives the ball under pressure, that's when you start worrying because you just know a little barge, a little tap, he goes flying and then the opponent just gets the ball and they're straight into a back four. So that is the reason why I said I wish these are the times I kind of think Hendo would have been good, playing on Sunday because I can rely on him that he can do a job in that 6. Even though we want a 6 and he's not actually a 6, but he can do a job there much better than Endo could. So that is the reason why I kind of brought that up. For me, with Kelleher, I feel like he's at that stage where he doesn't care. I feel like he's at that stage where he wants to move on. He's tired of being Alisson's understudy. He's tired of being, second choice. And I think he's at that stage in his career where he wants to take that next step, where he wants to, go and be the first team goalkeeper, get regular games week in, week out. And he has every right to feel like that because he has been excellent. You can tell from the year that we were going for the quadruple, you can tell the difference with Kelleher then and Kelleher now. He was really up for games. He knew he wasn't going to play that many games, but every single game he had, he showed why he was so good, why we needed to keep him, why we wanted to keep him, why he could be someone that, if Alisson was out, we wouldn't have to worry because we have him there. But this season, it just, I don't know, I feel like the mood has kind of shifted with him. He's kind of looking at his own career thinking, look, I want to achieve more than just being an understudy to Alisson. I know I would never take his spot because he's that good. The guy's the best goalkeeper in the whole world right now. There's no one even close when it comes to being a goalkeeper than Alisson. So it's like, you can understand why. So I'm not going to be too hard on him because it is demoralizing. You're a great player, but it's almost like you're having Messi. Messi's playing in your position, and you can't replace him because he's that good. You know what I mean? That's the problem right there with Kelleher. So I can understand it and I get it. So I feel like we got to find some sort of solution when it comes to him in terms of, do we start to look to move him on, or are we going to start, the Jurgen Klopp has to start playing him a little bit more regularly to kind of keep him happy, because I feel like he's at that stage where he's looking at himself like, I'm good enough to play for one of these Premier League teams and be their first team goalkeeper, and I can get a game, week in, week out, instead of me sitting on the bench when I have Alisson in there who I can't replace. I have to wait for him to get injured when Alisson hardly gets injured for me to actually get a chance to play in the first team, So yeah, and you also got to remember that when you don't play every single week, like you said, the ring rust comes in. You have to get used to the whole fixed situation. You have to get used to the feeling of being in goal on a match day, the crowd yelling, commanding, telling your players, your defenders where you want them. All of that is all well and good doing that on the training pitch, But it's a whole different scenario when you're playing on the actual pitch. You know what I mean? You're playing on the actual match day where the pressure is really on, where it actually truly matters. So that is where you can kind of give Kelleher a little bit of oblige and be like, okay, cool, I understand why you have this little bit of room loss. Because before Alisson came back, the game before Alisson came back, he looked good. You're like, okay, Kelleher's kind of getting back because he had that little bit. He had the first game where he was iffy. The second game, picked up the form again. And then we're like, okay, now we understand, we get it. But obviously, coming off that on a high, and then you're like, oh, I'm not playing. Alisson's back now, I'm not going to play. And then come back in a game where it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. It can take away that whole feeling of, you know, I'm playing well, and it can demoralize a player. So
I think it is the perfect time to move him on now, though, isn't it? Really, for him and us as a whole. So, James says,
I disagree.
Paul, do you want it? Well, do you think he would stay even if you wanted him to stay?
Well, what is Kelleher? Kelleher is a backup goalkeeper. Yes, the difference between Alisson and Kelleher is the widest between any other starter and their respective backup. We get that. But what do you want from a backup keeper? If you are going to be operating at the top of the Premier League, then your backup keeper ideally should be somebody who would start for, say, the bottom 6 teams, because you're not going to have 2 number 1 goalkeepers. So I think, plus also bear in mind that even a game like today, is it safe to say that Kelleher would have been looking a little bit better if he had his first, if he had Van Dijk, Trent, Robbo, and those guys in front of him? Probably. So, I mean, I don't think Kelleher will be a number 1 keeper for a top 6 team, but I think he is perfect for a backup. I have no problem in moving him on, but unless somebody come and giving us 30 million, which is unlikely, I think.
Do you think he'd push the move, though, Paul? Do you think he'd push the move? Because obviously, you can tell he wants to go. You can tell that he wants to play somewhere where his first team.
Absolutely, and I mean, he's ambitious. Of course, he wants to move, but I don't think Liverpool will prevent the move either. The fact is, we haven't gotten any offers that make sense. I'm pretty sure if we had gotten an offer for 25, 30 million in the last transfer window, it would have been gone. So pushing for the move is one thing, but having a team coming for you with to make the finances work for everybody, that's another thing. So that's the issue. So if somebody comes and want to pay us 25 million for him, absolutely, I'm sure we would take it. So that's not the issue, in my opinion. It's just that there's not many takers for him at the price in which we think is reasonable. So yeah.
Jay Moose here says Trent in midfield, Sunday Gomez at the back.
No.
You know what's so funny, guys, right? Who saw this coming? Who saw this number 6 problem coming? I mean, it was so obvious that we needed a 6 at the beginning of the season. I can't believe some people still believe that we didn't need a 6. Go back on the video that I made third week in where I said not buying a 6 was the biggest mistake. And look at some of the comments underneath. If you don't know what you're talking about, go play FIFA, blah, 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 blah. Go out, buy yourself a football for Christmas, go out and kick it on the field. Because if you couldn't see that we need a 6, and if you still can't see that we don't need a 6 now, having watched all the games we've watched Endo in there, we've watched Mac Allister in there, we're having to talk about Trent going into midfield again now. We're having to talk about, maybe Curtis Jones playing at number 6 on Sunday. This is where it's come to now. Kick a ball. Please kick a ball. That's what I ask you to do, is kick a ball this Christmas. If you can buy one, some of them are £5. Not much to get a ball these days. Dan, let's talk a bit positively tonight then. Because obviously, Clancy was a very good performance. I think he was the only good performance out there tonight. We're through. We're through in the top of the group. We're missing the next round. Obviously, the next round is between the second place in the group against the teams that are knocked out in the Champions League. How good is it that we can have that rest now and not play until March? It's a bonus, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, it's a bonus. I mean, it means we can now play essentially like our strongest 11, barring injury, barring, any new transfers, barring any suspensions, because apparently we also like to get one player suspended at least every 3 games at this point. Yeah, I mean, it just means that we can just focus on, from now into March to rack up as many points as possible. Because as we've seen from the years past in the league, if you can make a big enough gap between now and March, that's when you can lock down the league, and we'll have a much better idea of where our league position will be by the time we have that round of 16 games. So, we can go into the round of 16 and we'll either be, top, second, third, we're either like, 8 points ahead, 2 points behind, 5 points ahead, whatever it is. It just allows us to buckle down and kind of focus on as well. It also gives us some flexibility within the transfer market right now, because the biggest long-term injury we have right now is Joel Matip. As far as we can tell, Thiago's back in training. It looks like Jota's been running and training. Alisson is, as far as we know, is not out very much. So we have a lot of flexibility on what we can do and focus on. And, that's all we really wanted at the beginning of the league, is like, we just want to, if we're challenging for the league, you're going to finish in top 4. As long as you can challenge every year, you're doing something right. And that's the one thing we can, I think as expectations, that's what we want as Liverpool fans, that we want to be able to challenge and be in that conversation every league to give us over that hump as well. I think the most happiest thing we can deal with is that, the biggest positive we can say now is that all of our goals that we've set out, we're pretty much there. Like everything we can think of right now, regardless of the performances, regardless of the games. I think it's Joe Fagan or maybe Bob Paisley who said, top of the league with all these problems. We're top of the league with all these issues. Again, like I know we've talked about the 6, and even our backup goalkeeper in Queven Kelleher. I think Paul mentioned very well, he's a backup goalkeeper. There's not that many good backup goalkeepers in the league right now. I think right now we're in a very good situation, and we just, again, like I said, just enjoy the ride again. Enjoy the chaos, enjoy the ride. That game against United is probably going to suck, because Manchester United have been terrible, and they're going to defend, and it's going to be horrible. And it's going to be like Mourinho or Van Gaal, 10 men behind the ball. It's probably a 1-2 goal game. So, it's going to suck, but, that's what we live for. We live for the anxiety. We live for the opportunity to go. What was that, Dave? No, this is what we live for.
I get what you mean, but I'd rather not. Yeah, I get what you mean.
No, I'd rather not have anxiety. Listen, I'd rather.
That's why I love football. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we should just enjoy the journey. We have a really young, good team. Like, I think we need to remember the fact that the oldest midfielder we have is Wataru Endo, who's 30. Last year we had James Milner, 37. Jordan Henderson, 33, I think he was. Fabinho was like 30, 31, I believe. So, we've gotten really young, and we've still been very competitive, and we're way ahead of schedule of where we need to be. So I think we just need to enjoy the ride a bit. Obviously, not saying we can't criticize or, can't demand more, or demand that, like, we have a great opportunity here to solidify, especially with City not being as good as they are, Arsenal not hitting the heights they are right now. But just enjoy the ride. I mean, I think it's wonderful. I've had a great time this year. I've never screamed more than when we beat Newcastle away. That was the happiest I had been in a while with the Liverpool team. But just love the boys, love the journey. No injuries. And just. But I'm just glad to see a lot of the young kids get a run out that were injured, like Joke and Gordon. So let's just enjoy the ride together. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I should put this. It's rare, but I see a certain glory in Damon's eyes of Damon, and I have seen the Omen. I guess I better be here. Yeah, well, the Omen is sort of literally my name, sort of. It's Damien, but I'm not Damien. I hated being called Damien. When people get my name wrong when I was a kid, but it's always Damon. Yeah, it's the top of the league glow, Kelleher. It's the top of the league glow. That's what it is. I'm happy when I'm top of the league, but I'm also happy that we're looking good. But he still can be critical about certain situations and still analyse things that it's not all roses. We are top of the league. We have been getting good results, but our performances haven't been up to scratch, really. We still haven't hit our heights, and we still haven't hit anywhere near where we can play, which is good, which is a good thing, because we're top of the league and we still get to play our best football. But I still worry about that when we get to the end of the season and lose the league by a point or 2 points. We're going to look back. Well, we got robbed against Tottenham. No, it's because we didn't get a 6. It's because
don't you think that 6 thing is all overblown?
No, because it's huge.
I think so. And
you'll
I'll tell you
see why. If we get a 6 in there, you'll see Trent's position not be affected as much. You'll see the lack of position not being a bit like last year when we went in that end of that run where Fabinho started playing well. When Fabinho started playing well, Trent's inverted role worked because he had that cover. He had the cover from Konate, but he also had that cover from Fabinho. And it's not all in Konate. I'm not saying get a 6. That's it, unbelievable, but it's huge, absolutely huge. It's like a keeper or a striker. It's a 6, absolutely huge. We can win this Europa League, though, boys. We can win this Europa League. The toughest team coming down is what? AC Milan, tops, possibly.
Yeah.
I wasn't up to date with it, so I don't know who's coming out. I just know that Sevilla's out and United's out, which is I'm just glad Sevilla's out. Let's be honest.
Oh, well,
Newcastle.
Newcastle. I called that, by the way. I called that Newcastle out too. I want to take my credit for that, and I expect Hal to be sacked by the end of December. I should start playing the lottery if I get these predictions right.
I do think Newcastle were quite unlucky in terms of the cheating situation against PSG. That should be 3 points. And again, I think it forced them to proper go for it on the last against AC Milan yesterday.
Yeah, they had to.
Didn't help. I think that PSG game was massive. Some heavy Man United trolling on action on the Redmond TV live stream. Has anyone seen Liverpool? Was an amusing one. We played with atrocious grammar. I've not seen that yet, but yeah, we'll have Man United trolling. The podcast will be out tomorrow, hopefully. Me and Lou did it earlier. We've got it earlier with United fan, and there was quite a bit of United banter, United trolling going on in the chat, which you got to do it, haven't you? So, Istanbul remake could be in Dublin, Paul. Would you be happy with AC Milan in the final?
Actually, I just want to make sure that we are in the final. Honestly.
Good answer, Paul. Good answer.
Because looking at the teams that are around, if we are in the final against anybody, we will be the favorites, right? And if we make the final and lose, we're not going to say, well, we lose because it was Leverkusen or it was Brighton or whoever it is, right? So honestly, I don't care. We have to be in the final. That's all that matters to me. I notice West Ham is leading, so they are going to skip around just like us too. So we might see them in the final, but I have no fear for anybody. As a matter of fact, if we don't win this Europa League, I will be I will be bitterly disappointed. So I think it'd be an extreme
failure if you didn't get the final at least.
Yeah. No, what is ironic though, I think if we win and Man City win the Champions League, there might be a 5th spot for Champions League. So that might help out people like Man United, which I hope that. But
you say Man United, but finishing 10th don't work, mate. Finishing 10th,
True.
Yeah, that's about Villa.
But I mean, Newcastle is falling away. Villa look like they might be in the top 4. Who else is there?
Tottenham.
Brighton.
Tottenham.
Yeah,
Ange Ball is gonna. Tottenham won't survive it. I don't know. It's fun, but as long as we are in front, we're not worried about the noise behind us.
At least we're looking down and enjoying that sort of spectacle from the downwards rather than ones in the spectacle itself.
Correct.
Which was us last season. Kelleher says the reason I think we're leading the league is Alisson. This to me is a good sign that we need to invest in both defence and midfield. Well, I think it is. I think when Alisson doesn't play and we see the save not being made, then we're conceding, and you can't keep doing it all the time.
Yeah, but
Roma, Rangers, Freiburg, Sporting, Rennes, any of these we could do in the draw. I'm not afraid of anyone. Like Paul said, I'm not afraid of absolutely anyone. Thank you very much there for Michael for the. I'm just trying to get it up here. It's not coming up for some reason. For the £5, the $5. Sorry, Kwanzaa is the best defender at Liverpool. Did rubbish. Kay Gordon played that keeper doesn't worth 2 cents after today. Endo needs some Jamaican food. I think everyone is.
That's also Gordon. That's also Gordon. The man hasn't played in 2 years. Let's calm down now. Let's calm down now.
He does need to bulk up a little bit though. But thank you so much for your $5 there, Michael. He is the best defender at Liverpool behind Van Dijk at the moment. I think in terms of form. Kay Gordon, he didn't really turn up. The keeper, Kelleher, I don't know. It's just these players that are playing tonight, and they seem to do it quite often. They're not taking the chances, and that's the problem I had with tonight, and that's the problem we've had the zero effort sort of comment. But we're through. We've got the job done. I feel like I've said the same thing every week where we get the job done. Doesn't matter performance, but performance does need to improve at some point. And I'm hoping we'll get through this Christmas period. It's a tough period coming up. Man United first, We've got Arsenal the week after as well. Get these wins, stay top of the league for Christmas, and who knows what could happen in the new year. Quadruple run, it's on. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Harmony. Thank you, Paul, Dan. If you are new to the stream, please make sure you subscribe. Please give us a like. Anyway, if you can, it doesn't take long just to press the like button. Have a great weekend, and hopefully it ends on a Liverpool win. Hopefully a convincing win at that. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a good night.